Here are moments in life when everything we believe will last forever can disappear in minutes. A home, a garden, a familiar road, a lifetime of memories. And when the flood finally recedes, one question remains. How do you begin again when almost everything you had is gone? Our story takes place in Sivasagar district, Upper Assam, India, in 2026. Here lived Hari Das, 74 years old, and his wife, Malati Das, 70. They were elderly farmers living a simple life in a small traditional Assamese bamboo and thatch house. Woven bamboo walls, a raised floor, a small veranda, a vegetable garden, a simple shelter for their buffalo. They owned very little. A few cooking utensils, clothes, simple bedding, basic household items collected over many years. But they had something precious. They had a home. Every morning followed the same quiet rhythm. Hari checked the small patch of land around the house. Malati prepared food and cared for the garden. The buffalo waited to be fed. Their life was poor, but peaceful. Then the monsoon rain came. At first, it seemed normal, but the clouds grew darker. The wind became stronger, and the rain would not stop. Within hours, muddy brown water spread across the low floodplain. Rice fields disappeared. Village roads vanished. Yards became fast-moving channels. The flood reached Hari and Malati's home much faster than they expected. They tried to escape, but the water was already around their knees. Then their waists. Then their chests. Behind them, the bamboo walls began to bend. The veranda disappeared beneath the water. The roof started to sag. There was no time to save their belongings. Hari and Malati kept moving towards safer ground, but the current became too strong. They could no longer walk. They had to swim. For two elderly people, fighting the flood was almost impossible. Their soaked clothes became heavy. Broken bamboo and debris rushed around them. Hari desperately tried to stay close to Malati. He reached toward her. She reached back. Their hands almost touched. Then a powerful surge swept between them. The current pulled them apart. Hari grabbed a floating bamboo pole. Malati was carried farther away. For several terrifying moments, Hari could no longer see his wife. Then Malati surfaced again farther downstream. She was exhausted, but still alive, still fighting. Around them, the village was disappearing. Roof sections floated away. Bamboo fences broke apart. Branches and household objects raced through the current. The place they had known for years had become a vast, muddy river. Far away, an external humanitarian rescue team was trying to reach them. Min was among them. The road had already disappeared beneath the flood, so the team could go no farther by vehicle. They unloaded a bright red inflatable rescue boat. Life jackets, ropes, and emergency equipment were secured. The boat was pushed into the water. Min and the trained rescuers climbed aboard. The engine started. They entered the flooded settlement. The journey was dangerous. Floating bamboo blocked their route. Branches struck the boat. Broken roof sections drifted between trees. Heavy rain reduced visibility. From above, a flycam searched the flooded village. A roof, a tree, a broken fence, endless brown water, then movement. One person, then another. Two elderly survivors, far apart. Hari, Malati. The rescue boat immediately changed direction. Hari was reached first. He was nearly exhausted, barely holding on to floating debris. A rescuer grabbed his arm. Min moved forward to help. Together, the team pulled Hari into the red boat. He was safe, but Hari immediately looked back. Malati was still in the water. The boat turned and accelerated through the current. Malati struggled to keep her head above the surface. The rescuers moved closer. She raised one hand. For a moment, the flood pulled her away again. Then they caught her. Min and the rescuers pulled together. Slowly, Malati was lifted into the boat. Hari immediately reached toward his wife. At last, they were together again. Soaked, trembling, exhausted, but alive. The red rescue boat carried them towards safer ground, while their devastated village disappeared behind them. Over the following days, the floodwater gradually receded. When Hari and Malati returned, their old bamboo house was gone. Broken bamboo and mud covered the property. The garden had been badly damaged. There was almost nothing left to repair, so the rebuilding process began. But this time, the new house needed to be safer. Workers cleared the site and prepared reinforced concrete foundations. Footings and piers were built. A raised concrete living floor was constructed about 1.5 meters above the ground. Reinforced concrete columns and beams followed. Then red burnt clay bricks arrived. Course by course, 4 solid walls rose around proper doors and windows. Only after the brick walls were complete was the roof installed. A simple muted gray corrugated pitched roof. Strong. Practical. Built for the difficult weather of the region. The walls were plastered inside and outside. After they dried, the exterior was painted warm cream and the interior light warm cream. Nothing luxurious. Just clean, durable, and suitable for an elderly rural couple. Electricians installed protected wiring, switches, outlets, and simple ceiling lights. A small rooftop solar system of about 1 kilowatt was added with 1 compact inverter and 1 small battery. A protected water system was also installed, including a simple filter and 1 elevated 500-liter tank. Clean water was connected to the kitchen and sanitation area. Everything was tested. Then came the furniture. 2 elderly height beds, mattresses, mosquito nets, a small table, 2 chairs, a storage cabinet, kitchen shelves, curtains, cooking utensils, basic household supplies. The beds were assembled. The mosquito nets were hung. Furniture was positioned to leave clear walking space. The kitchen was organized so Malati could easily reach the things she needed. After one final cleaning, the building finally looked like a home. When everything was finished, Min returned alone. There was no storm now, no rescue boat, no construction noise. His task was the final inspection. He checked the exterior walls, the roof, the windows, the ramp, the handrails, the drainage. Then he went inside. He opened and closed the doors, checked the 2 beds and mosquito nets, inspected the kitchen. He switched on a light. It worked. He opened the kitchen tap. Clean water flowed into the sink. He checked the electrical system, solar equipment, battery, and plumbing. Everything was ready. Only then were Hari and Malati brought to see their new home. They stopped outside. For several seconds, neither of them moved. Their old bamboo house was gone forever. But standing before them was something they once feared they might never have again. A home of their own. Min walked toward them, holding a small key. He placed it into Hari's weathered hand. Hari looked down. Malati smiled. Then the emotions they had been holding back finally came through. Hari stepped forward and embraced Min. Malati joined them. There was no stage, no crowd, no grand ceremony. Just 3 people standing in front of a simple house in rural Assam. But that small key meant everything. It meant Hari and Malati had somewhere safe to sleep that night. It meant Malati could cook in her own kitchen again. It meant Hari could wake up and step outside his own front door. It meant they had a home again. Min led them inside. Hari pressed the light switch. Hari pressed the light switch. The room brightened. Malati opened the kitchen tap. Clean water flowed. Hari sat carefully on one of the beds. Malati looked through the kitchen shelves. A light, a tap, a bed, a table, a door that could close at night. Ordinary things. But after losing almost everything, ordinary things can become extraordinary. Later, Min said goodbye. Hari and Malati stood at the entrance and watched him leave. Hari hung the new key beside the door. From that moment, the house truly belonged to them. And slowly, normal life returned. Malati cooked again. Hari helped prepare vegetables. They ate together at their small table. In the morning, Hari watered the garden. Malati cared for the young plants. Hari brought grass to their buffalo. In the afternoon, they sat together outside, drinking clean water and looking across the recovering land. The village still carried scars from the flood. The soil was rough. The garden was young. Their house was not luxurious. It was never meant to be. It only needed to be safe. That evening, Hari and Malati entered their bedroom. Two simple beds stood beneath two clean mosquito nets. Malati slowly lowered her net. Hari sat on the edge of his bed. For a few moments, the ceiling light remained on. Then Hari reached toward the switch. Click! The room became quiet. Soft moonlight entered through the wooden window. Two elderly people who had once been separated by violent floodwater were now sleeping peacefully beneath the same dry roof. Their old home was gone. Many possessions were gone. The memory of the flood would remain. But the story did not end in the water. It did not end with a collapsing bamboo house. It did not end with two elderly people fighting to survive. It ended with something much quieter. A key beside a door. A light that worked. Clean water flowing from a tap. A meal shared at the same table. A garden beginning to grow again. And two elderly people finally sleeping in safety. Because rebuilding after disaster is not only about bricks, concrete, roofs, or furniture. It is about restoring the ordinary things disaster tries to take away. Safety, dignity, hope, and perhaps most importantly, the quiet certainty that when another morning comes, you still have a place to call home.